Okay, I'm back to talk to you a little bit about your final project. Before I jump into it, I wanted to show you something kind of neat. If you remember that segmentation software from ESRI that I showed you that we could put in the zip code and get a lot of demographical, geographical information about people and segment the market that way because it's already been done for us. This tool used by Johns Hopkins to track coronavirus across the world is actually built on that same mapping platform. So they, plugged in their API and are tracking daily cases as this virus grows. A recent update to their software, they actually even made it more granular for the United States, and they're actually tracking even more specifically where the actual cases are appearing and of how many. So kind of neat as they use that same platform as our segmentation software. Something to kind of watch over here. This is a history of the number of cases, and you see the exponential growth. Oddly enough, the word viral comes from virus, and this is why, because this is what a virus does, is it can grow exponentially very, very quickly. So wish the best for our nation and our global citizens, and hopefully we can find some vaccines here for this quickly. Now, going on to your final project, I have posted it, and it is due. It's due April 27th for everyone, and I want you to know that you can do this project with groups of 1, 2, or 3. Again, however you want to do that. One person needs to submit me the link or the content or whatever you're doing, but make sure that all 3 of you are on the justification, which I'll explain to you in a minute. But download this document, Final Project Scope, and we can walk through that a little bit. So again, the idea behind this class is, now that we've read this book, a lot of fun to read it, but in the end, it's filled with research that justifies that virality is not random, it's not magic, it's a science. And that if you have key pieces in your content, there is a greater likelihood of your content going viral, which is the word of mouth, which is the end game goal of any marketer, is to get that exposure, that PR for free that we're not doing ourselves. So that's kind of what this project is all scoped about, is around those steps. And what you're going to do is you're going to create a viral piece that has as many of these elements in them as possible. So you can do this viral piece for you personally, for fun. It could be for a nonprofit. It could be for your business. It could be for any business. The scope is yours. So the audience is kind of just whoever you think this should will go viral with. But what you're delivering is a content piece with as many of these elements in it as possible. Okay, you need to understand that this is a final project. It's 15% of your grade. I'm expecting some significant effort on this. I really want to see what you're capable of doing, which means historically memes and Instagram posts that take about 30 minutes to create at most is traditionally not scored well. It traditionally doesn't have the pieces. It doesn't have the effort in it. I need to have more content than just that. So you need to be thinking of a larger scope project here for this final project. Typically in class, I'll show you through some examples. We don't have that, obviously. So I've done what I usually don't do. I've created a folder called Final Project Examples to just give you some past examples that students have done. So you can kind of go through those and understand what I'm kind of expecting or looking for or hoping for that you can create with this project. Now, I want to just tell you an interesting story about this project, because originally my goal for this final project was that at the end of the semester, we would actually post the piece on my social media so I could do all the tracking, and then we could actually watch how viral they went. And then we could grade the projects based on their virality. I mean, that's kind of the best way to know if it's going to go viral. However, I had students create some sketchy content. I can't show it to you because I actually got called into Title IX for it, and I could have fought it for academic freedom, but I chose to let it go, and no longer because of that do we actually post what you're producing. You can still create any sort of content you want in terms of academic freedom, But in this case, we're going to send it to me and I'll just grade it individually. It'd be a lot of fun if we could keep doing that, but I have to be a little bit careful about what content gets put out there. In terms of what you can do for your final project, I understand that not all of us are the most creative people. Some have more talent in terms of creating content than others. And some of us are just, we're more on the creative of ideas or concepts or planning. Some are really good at knowing when something looks good. Maybe they can't create it, but they can eyeball it or have a good eye for things. So I'm allowing you two options for this. Option one, I'm going to show you in just a minute, is going to allow you to build a plan for your content, meaning you don't necessarily have the creative skills to build the content yourself, so you're going to plan it out. The other option is in option two, is you actually create the content and then you write a single page summary defending the pieces, the steps that you feel you incorporated into the actual content you created. Now, I want to tell you something very, very important. Very important. If you choose option one, where you don't actually create the content, you just build the plan for your content, you can only score 250 out of 300 points. Okay, so you cannot get the full score as if you were somebody who actually completed the whole assignment. But I put this out there. A lot of students take this option because the creating is not their strong suit, but I still want you to have that creative process. So two options for you. If you do option two, where you actually build the content, you do not need to use the workbook. That doesn't mean you can't use the workbook. It just means you don't need to turn in the workbook as part of your production. You just need to put in the defense. So let me walk you through and show you that a little bit. One quick note here. If you have I notice Canvas is having a hard time with bigger files. So if your thing is 2-3 gigabytes big, throw it on YouTube, send me a link that way. So, just make sure that I'm able to get access to the content you create one way or another. I'll show you some examples of students that have done that in the past. So read through this, make sure you understand what you can do. So going back to option one, I put it here on Canvas. Here's the workbook. It's in the file. If you decide option one, your max points is 250 out of 300. This is a really cool workbook. You should even download it and keep it for your own records anyway, as you guys are trying to build cool content on your marketing teams. This workbook is published by Jonah Berger, so it's really nice. But what he does is he walks through kind of the steps of what a viral content piece ought to have in it. So your job, if you don't actually create your content, is to go through this workbook and fill it out. Okay? Defining the idea, walking through, all of these kind of fill in the blanks. Your job is to fill all of these blanks in and build this project out as if you were going to build it and have the plan built. So if you fill this workbook out really, really well, I'll walk through it. And again, you'll score the 250 out of 300 or some sort of combination of that. Otherwise, your job is to actually create the content and then defend it. So if you go into files, I'll show you I'm not looking for a huge, report on the defense. It really just needs to be one page. I'm really looking for the content. Final project examples now. So for example, McKenna Reynolds is a good example of one who actually submitted. You have to submit your defense, but let me, cancel. Let me just pull this up. So here, this is her link to the video. And here's kind of her defense, right? Here's the steps and where she felt like she was able to incorporate as many of the steps as possible. Click on the link. Oh, it will pull up. I don't know why, maybe just in this document or how it is, but it pulls up. You can actually go watch it. I thought it was a really neat video. She was super excited when it came back and she said, this is the most viral piece I've had. She had I think it's over 4,000 views or something like that at one point in time. So it does work. It can go contagious or viral. These other couple of examples are more of just the content examples. I think Ashley's here might be an example of her defense too. Let's pull it up real quick. Hopefully. Canvas is not in love with us, but yeah. So here's here's her defense. There's the different pieces, and then a link to her actual video, which you can go and watch. Okay, so I've actually got examples in there. I've got documents for you to see, and then the final project docs. There's the framework, kind of the scope, things to help you out to make you more successful on this final project, which again, as a reminder, can be done in 1, 2, or 3. But if you do it as a group of 3, be sure your names are all on the defense or some way of me knowing. Maybe you put it in the comments section when you submit it. Hey, the 3 of us worked on it anyway, or any ways, multiple ways that you can help me know that multiple people worked on it will be helpful in terms of grading it. Any questions, let me know. I'll do my best. If I miss something and it's important, I usually put the answer on Canvas under an announcement. I will put anything up that I find on there or anything I might have missed and let you know. So just keep an eyeball on that and let me know if you need anything else. Good luck. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys create.